everybody. Good afternoon. Happy Friday. Good to see you all. I'm Rosie. I have not done a session for a while yet. I was really poorly at the start of the year, as is everybody. Everybody's been poorly. It's been really bad, hasn't it? But I'm back now. I'm back in action. I'm not leaving the house because it's too windy. I was going to go for a run this morning and I took the dog out for a walk and I was like, no, the wind is too strong for running. It's quite scary out there. So we're going to do a really easy craft today. Super easy. It's so easy and so much fun. The possibilities are endless. You might be able to see the slogan here. This was my first go at this. And it worked so well that I've just been telling everybody about it. So I'm going to show you guys how to do it, but it's really easy. It's really easy. You don't need much input from me at all. This is more of just like, you can watch me do it and get a bit of inspiration and the encouragement to sort of paint on a t-shirt, I guess. I'm not going to, I've got two options actually. I have got a t-shirt ready to go, but I've also got, it doesn't have to be a t-shirt. So I've also got a tote bag. So I've got a plain tote bag. Really, you can do this on anything. You can do it on any kind of fabric, canvas. I think it works better on fabric. I wonder if you could do it on, I suppose you could do it on paper if you've got the sort of tape that will peel off paper without ripping it. But essentially, all you need is your surface area to do it on, some masking tape, paintbrush. I have also brought water with me so that I can just use the one brush. But if you have multiple brushes, that's probably easier. And I've also bought a tea towel. Where's my tea towel? I am going to need that to dry my brush. And I've also got some fabric paint. So I'll show you my fabric paint really quickly. I'm going to move this out of the way because it's in the way at the minute. So I'll just show you very quickly. I'll just do a bit of a close-up so you can kind of see the sort of thing we're doing. And hopefully you've already guessed how we're going to do it. But if not, I'm going to show you anyway. So I'm going to move that to one side. We don't need that anymore. And I have got a selection of paints here. Now, these are the paints that I use all the time. I use them for loads of different things. So I've got loads and loads of them. And I use them for all sorts. So you don't need to get quite as many as I've got. I have got arguably too many paints. So these are all fabric paints, all of them. And you can see I've got a few different brands. So I'll go through them with you. So these guys, which I have used on here before, I think I've done some hand painted clothes before. This is a brand called Pabeo, and they're a really good fabric paint brand. You can buy packs that come in these little tubs here. And I think you get like 6 colours for like a tenner. These guys that are like these are like the bigger pots. I think they're about £5 each. So it depends how much you want to invest. However, I have got these pastel ones, which I might actually use today. So this selection of pastel ones was from the range, and I think they were £3, maybe £3.50. I bought them because they were cheap. I saw them and I thought, oh, are they fabric paints? And I sort of double checked the labels. And I was like, yep, definitely fabric paint. And they were really cheap for the whole pack. So it's like £3 for the whole pack. So you can get really cheap ones. And they don't need to be fancy ones. As long as the colour is strong enough, that's all you need. I've also got these neon ones, which are, I'm not sure what that brand is, but they're probably around the same price as the Pabeo ones. They're really nice if you specifically want neon. However, these are taken a little bit of a battering because I did this with my children and they did quite like the neon colours. So I might not use those, but I thought I'd show you them anyway. There's loads of different options out there. So this is the thing I'm going to struggle with most today is the sort of space aspect, because usually my crafts are quite little. This is quite big. I've tried to sort of spread out as much as I can, so we'll see what happens. So I've got two options here, so I'm going to bring this over now. So this is a dark green t-shirt, and I have already placed the tape on it. So now I'm doing like the big reveal of how we make it work. So I have got, so this is brown masking tape, so it's sort of like craft parcel tape, but any kind of masking tape is fine. It just needs to be sort of easy peel, really. I suppose you could use sellotape, but then you don't get like this lovely sort of ripped effect, which I'm going to show you. So you want sort of tape that also has that sort of papery feel. That will work the best. You can buy big rolls, little rolls. They're really, really cheap. Cheapest you can get, doesn't need to be a special kind, just as long as it's masking tape that you can rip, you're good to go. And essentially we're sticking it down onto the fabric and then going to town with the paint. So this is the sort of example that I've done, which I will probably paint on, but I'm going to do the tape itself on the tote bag so you can see me doing it. But I just wanted to show you this as an example. What I really love about this is I'm fairly confident most people have got sort of old T-shirts, old plain T-shirts, or old clothing that is plain, that is kind of sitting around in your wardrobe, not sure what to do with it. And I think this gives it a really nice lease of life. I think it's a really good way of sort of shopping sustainably as well, because you can buy plain clothing from charity shops very, very cheaply. So this T-shirt, I think I got this from a car boot sale actually, and I think it was maybe 50p. They're the sort of things that you sort of have lots of, and it's quite easy to sort of like put in the charity bag and things like that. So they're readily available cheaply. That's why I love this. You don't need to go out and buy a new top because you're going to throw paint on it anyway. So you might as well get yourself a cheap one, find an old one in the wardrobe. But also the great thing about this is it's a really good gift as well, because you can do it for anyone. You know, you could put people's names on it. You could do, I'm just thinking about this because I'm going to a hen do quite soon. You could, you know, if you're feeling super crafty, you could do your bride squad or whatever, you know, a party, any kind of like collective. You could do it as a group activity. And it doesn't require, you know, you don't have to be good at it. It's super easy. And as I said, I have done this with my children, and hopefully that's going to be available as a TikTok quite soon on the Virtual Village Hall for you to see, because I did film my kids doing it because they were probably better at it than I am. So I did, you know, get evidence of that. So this is what we're going to aim for. I'm going to start sort of doing the tape on the tote bag, but stop the camera from wobbling. The reason I've not done this yet, the reason I'm sort of like saving it, is because what I was hoping is that if enough of you are watching, that if there are like any suggestions of something that you would like me to write. So I didn't know, because I didn't want to just do like my name, but if there's like a quote, like a short quote or lyric or phrase or sort of inspirational, you know, affirmation, anything like that. If any of you have got something at the top of your head right now, if you'd like to comment and let me know, and then maybe we could do that. Because I realised as I got the tote bag out, I was like, oh, I've already done the T-shirt. I don't actually know what I'm going to write on here. I mean, if no one's got any ideas, then I'll probably just do my name because that's fun. But if you have anything particular that you'd like me to write, let me know right now. Because if it's not right now, then we'll be sat in silence for a long time and you'll just be able to hear the wind whistling outside, maybe blowing roof tiles off my house. But yeah, if there's any quotes or anything that anyone can think of that they'd like me to pop on there, then we can do that. Maybe I'll give you a few minutes to think about it, but what I might do is I'm going to make a start by doing a shape. So we know, like, we've got a base point, we know like how to start. So I'm going to move this out of the way first of all. We've got my tote bag. Now, if you are doing any kind of fabric, I would recommend that you put something underneath it or in between, if it's like a T-shirt or a bag, any kind of scrap paper. I'm going to find a piece of scrap paper down here. Oh, I can't use that. That's a picture my child did. But like newspaper. So I've got some newspaper here. So if you get yourself a nice flat piece of paper that you can place in between, just because we don't want any of the paint to sort of go through or to go on to anything underneath. So I'm going to pop this in between the tote bag here. Okay, so I've put my paper in between the bag there. I'm just wondering if I could do, so I do quite like the sunshine element. I quite like stars, quite like hearts. Maybe we'll do some kind of star situation. Maybe a shooting star. Could we do a shooting star? Maybe. I'm just trying to think like how I could do a shooting star. But I'm going to get the tape out and we'll have a think. So we can have a play and you can see me experiment. So the first thing I would say is the way that I've done mine is that I've done a combination of cutting and ripping. I quite like the kind of having both sort of textures, I guess. So if I show you this one, you'll see, like, for example, this bit has been cut nice and straight, but then other bits have been ripped. And also what you'll find is you'll probably end up like using the sort of waste bits that you don't need. So you could rip them up and then save a bit and then use that for something else. So I'm thinking maybe something like something to do with stars. All I can think in my head is "You Are My Sunshine," and so I can't get a sun out of my head. Let's do that. Let's do "You Are My Sunshine." Let's do that. So I'm going to start with the sun at the bottom here, and then we'll do the writing. So if you've got this sort of standard sort of width of tape, then what you can do is you can stick it together to make it wider if you need to. So I'm going to rip a piece off, and then I'm going to rip another piece off, and then I'm going to stick them together. And you don't have to be neat with this. So now you've sort of created a square. And if you want it to be even bigger, we might make that a little bit wider actually. Just so we've got a nice big area like that. And that could be the base for our sun. So I'm going to get my scissors. And I'm going to cut. And it doesn't have to be neat. It doesn't have to be fancy. I think it looks better if it's a bit sort of, you know, cut and paste. So the only problem with the cutting is it obviously sticks to the tape, but that's okay. It's quite easy to deal with. So we've got our circle there. And I'm thinking what I might do is like a sunrise almost. So I'm going to stick my sun down there. So there's my circle. And now we can do the sun rays. And again, they can be differing in length. So for this piece, I've got quite a long piece. And then I'm going to sort of rip it in half. And then we can see, the great thing about this, if you don't like it, you just take it off and do it again. But, you know, like this, for example, you could say, okay, that's quite nice. It's quite long. So for this one, what I might do is I might just shorten it a little bit. And then we can go in with another bit. And then maybe what we can do is we can cut one of the bits. So you can show you the difference. And then they might get a little bit shorter as they go round. And what I'm actually doing is all the little bits that I don't use, I'm just sticking on the table next to me because I might then use them later on for the writing. There doesn't need to be any waste. So that's quite nice. That looks like it could go there, doesn't it? But then I might shorten this one, make it a little bit kind of thinner, like so. Oh, we could put like a little bit in there, look, like that. Sort of like doing a jigsaw puzzle. Super easy. And then I might rip one of these ones. And then this one I might, again, make a little bit thinner. Oh, I've got a really thin one there. Maybe I'll pop that down here. That's nice. And that fits there quite nicely. And then I might put a little triangular piece in there. I'm going to go for one of these sort of offcuts that I've stuck to the side here. Yeah, lots of little bits stuck to my finger. That's okay though. There we go. So we've got our sort of jaunty sunshine. And again, I'm making it look quite abstract. I'm not trying to make it look realistic. I want it to look quite chunky and unusual. I just want to put up a tiny bit in here. And again, I'm using one of these offcuts. Oh, not that bit. Maybe this bit. Nice thin bit. Go in there. Lovely. So we've got our sunshine. So now we can think about our lettering. So I think we're going to go you, are, and then a little my, and then sunshine. What do you reckon? I think so. So we can rip a piece and we can kind of check in terms of like the width and whether it's going to fit. I think that's about right, isn't it? And then we can start building up our lettering. So you see that? There you go. And I'm sort of, it's a bit like when you cut out like newspaper letters, isn't it? You're just sort of like making it work. So there's the Y. I'm just wondering if I'm going to pop sort of like a little box underneath here so that it's sort of almost leaning away from the window so you can see it a bit better. I'm going to save this little bit here, and now I'm going to make another circle. So again, for the circular sort of things, I'm going to do that. And actually, I mean, you don't have to cut it out. You could always rip out the circle. There we go. It's a very wobbly circle, but that's okay. It's going to go there. Lovely. And then, so how am I going to do a U? I'm just wondering if I want to sort of stick two together. I think I'm going to do that. This is what I like about this, is sort of like working stuff out. So I'm going to cut a U out so that I can get that circular shape at the bottom. And again, you have to sort of like, your scissors get stuck to the tape. And then for the inside bit, I wonder if I can rip it. I'm going to try. There we go. So then we've got a nice view. Beautiful. And you'll notice with the O, I haven't cut out the middle bit. I think that really helps. I think that adds to the contrast when you put the paint on. So any letters that typically have like a circle on the inside of it, like a R or an O or whatever, you don't have to cut them out if you don't want to. I find that actually looks better. So A, I'm going to go in with a pointy bit there. I'm going to try and do another pointy bit here. Yes. And then I can use that bit to go across. Lovely. And then for the R, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in that bit there. And then I'm going to stick two bits together so I can try and get that, again, that round shape, sort of semicircle. And it's going to get very sticky. There we go. That can go like, I want to say up here maybe. Yeah, there you go. And then I've got another little, again, I'm looking over to my like sticky bit of table where there's all the sort of offcuts. And I might just rip that end bit off there. And in fact, what I might do is, because you can overlap as well, so that bit can sort of cover up that corner there. Looking good. And then I'm going to do the E. These are really easy. So again, I'm just going to rip that bit. And I mean, you can take as much time on this as you want. This can be a super, super quick craft, or you can really take your time with it and be much neater than I'm being if you want to be. Okay, so there's that, looking good. So what I might do now, so excuse the wobble for just a second, I'm just going to zoom in slightly with my camera, just so you can sort of see the lettering a bit better. So you've got the idea of the whole piece, whereas now you can kind of actually see the lettering a bit better. And you can see the big crease in the tote bag where I've not ironed it. So let's do our S now. So for an S, S's are quite tricksy, aren't they? So for an S, I'm going to stick two pieces together. And I think, so what you can do as well, so this is an option for all of them. I'm going to stick that down there. I'm going to get myself a pencil. And I'm going to draw a bubble S on there. And then I can take it off the tote bag again. And then I can cut that out. So if you aren't feeling confident about your ripping, then there's absolutely no harm in writing on your tape first, so you know what you're doing. The only thing is, because the tape sort of sticks to the scissors, you just have to be aware that it might not be perfect, but I think that makes it look better, to be honest. And you can get those excess bits off again. Oh, you should see the side of my desk. It's absolutely covered in little tiny bits of brown paper, brown tape. There we go. Okay, we made it. We made it. Oh, I haven't done the mark. So why have I started doing the S? I've started doing the S for the sunshine. Oh, that's okay. So maybe we'll do. So we'll do the my here. We can start the S sort of around here, I reckon. S, and you can kind of sort of work it out in your head. UNSHINE. Yeah, so that's going to work. I'm going to make it go round the sun, I think. Yeah, great. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the U. I'm going to do the same thing I did before, where I sort of did the circular bit at the bottom. So I'm just going to cut around here like that. And then did I rip the other one? I think I tried to rip the other one. So we'll try that again. See if that works. I think actually I did say before, like, about sellotape. I think because sellotape is really sticky, I think that's the thing you'd struggle with the most, is like trying to cut stuff out. I think your fingers would really stick to it. And also, you know, when sellotape folds in on itself and you can't pull it apart, that's really, really tricky. And this stuff is a bit more forgiving in that sense. So I'm going to use one piece here to make the N. Lovely. Oh, okay, we're going to do another S. I think S's are the hardest. I think they're the so it's well done me for choosing a word that has two S's in it. It's great. So again, I'm going to draw that on as my guide. And then try as best as I can. Cut it out. I think this is why I probably prefer the ripping, because it feels much easier to do than using the scissors. Like the scissors get sort of stuck a little bit. I mean, it's fine. It's completely doable. It's just, it takes longer than ripping it. And I have got no patience at all. I want to do things as quickly as possible. Okay, we're nearly there. And then I don't have to do any more S's. Something keeps flashing in my, I keep thinking someone's like shining a torch into my window, but I think what it is, I think someone's got in their garden, you know, like something like a wind chime, like a shiny wind chime. And because it's so windy, I think it's like spinning round. And every so often it's like flashing in my eyes. So if you see like a flash, don't worry, it's nothing bad. I think it's just someone's garden ornament just spinning in the wind. Okay, so there we've got our next S. And now we can do a H. So that's going to be really easy. I'm going to rip one there. And then another one. And then I can chop that bit in half like that. Lovely. Do I have any sticky bits over here that make an eye? No, they're all a bit sort of cut out. It's really easy to do for eye. Lovely. Now, what I want to do is a little circle. So I've gone to one of my bits that I found that I've left on the side, so I can cut a tiny little circle out. There we go. And then this bit that I was using for this bit of the eye, I can now start for the end. So there's, you know, we're not wasting anything at all here. And then that bit can go on there. And then maybe another bit. We're getting there. We're close. It's on a bit of a weird angle. Oh, do you know what? I'm glad that this is not going around the sun how I'd like it to. This is good because now I can show you how I will change that. So before I do the E, what I'm going to do is, excuse me, I'm going to just move this S. So look, it's so simple. If you're not happy with it, you're just going to peel it off and sort of stick it back on. That's it. And then now that's a bit lower, then I can put an E here and that will look great. We can put our E there, I'll do a little one. We can go 1, 2, and then I just need one more tiny bit. I'm going to use one of my offcuts over here. Is that long enough? Yeah, that's long enough. Perfect. And so now all we need to do is the my. So we can make the my quite big. We can make it quite wide as well. Just make sure your little corners are stuck down. Oh, I really should have ironed this first, shouldn't I? I'm so sorry. Awful. I'm not very good at ironing. I don't iron very often. I'm going to put that there, like that. And then I'm going to a little bit I can put in between like that. Lovely. And then I can use that for this bit of the Y. I think that's going to be, is that too long? Maybe just a smidge. Like that. And then all we need to do, I think we'll probably make that a little bit thinner and not quite as long. And then hopefully we can just stick that here. Oh yeah, perfect. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Now I do feel like it needs something on either side here. But I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it as it is because I want to crack on with the painting. I always do this, don't I? I'm always like, oh, it needs more stuff, please. But I'm not going to. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop myself. I'm going to make a start on the painting because that's the really fun bit. So, excuse the wobble. I'm going to zoom out again with my camera so that we can see the whole thing. Now, I guess the question is, are we going to paint on the green T-shirt or are we going to paint on the white tote bag? I'm trying to decide which will show up best. I'm thinking probably the tote bag, right? If I use some really bright colours. So I think I'm going to go with my tote because I've got some really bold colours that will work really nicely. Speak now or forever hold your peace. If you would like me to do the T-shirt, I'll do the T-shirt. But this is your final warning. Otherwise I'm going to do the tote bag. So I'm going to get my paints out now. I'm going to get them ready. Any takers? I'm doing the tote bag. Okay, I'm going to do the tote bag. So what I would say with this is you can use as many colours as you want, or you could do a selection of colours. You could just do one colour. There's no reason you can't do one colour. And in fact, there's nothing stopping you If you wanted to, I think it would wash quite well, because I'm thinking about like emulsion. I'm thinking about if you've painted your house and you've got leftover tins of paint in your garage, which I'm sure most people do. I'm just thinking now, like, you know, when you get paint on your clothes when you're painting and it doesn't come out, that's emulsion, isn't it? Would emulsion work? So yeah, if you've got like a colour that you really, really love and you just want to do one, that's absolutely fine. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. But I love all the colours, so I'm going to use loads. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose colours that I know will show up pretty well on the white tote bag. I think that's the key. I'm going to start with this lovely sort of royal blue, just because it's great. And then I think I'm just going to have a sort of sifty round, quite like that dark red. That's quite nice. I do like an orange. Oh, I'm just wondering if I should do oranges and yellows. No, it won't show up as well on the camera. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud. Thinking out loud, aren't I? This pea green's quite nice. Maybe like a lighter red would be better. This is my favourite bit. Can you tell? Let's just start with these 4. And then if I want more, I can get more. That's fine. So I'm going to just show you how I have been doing it. You can do it totally differently. So for example, you could do each word in a different colour. You could do like a blended effect. So you could go from like your blue to your green to your orange to your red. I'm just going to do it randomly because that's how I like doing it. I think that's quite fun. I'm going to give my paint a bit of a shake first. And I've got myself quite a nice big stubbly brush. It doesn't have to be, well, it depends how neat you want to be. I'm not going to be neat. I'm going to sort of throw the paint on there. So I've got a nice brush that's easy to do that with. But you can do it whatever brush you want. It doesn't need to be fancy. It can be like a really rubbish kids one. It doesn't need to be a, you know. So basically now all we're going to do is we're going to paint around the letters. And I'll do this as we go, but the only advice I can give you is just make sure you have coverage around the perimeter, if you will, of every single letter. So you need to sort of have no gaps with the paint, because otherwise when you peel the tape off, it's not going to be as legible. I think that's the right word, but I'll show you that anyway. So I'm going to start with this lovely blue. I'm going to get quite a bit on my paint, on my brush. And I'm just going to dab it around the letters. And what I'd also recommend is that for each word, that there is, whether the paint's different colours is fine, but leave no gaps. So it's almost like colour, 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 colour all the way along. Again, so that it's easier to read. And I'm being quite random with where I place my paint. Like I'm just going to sort of do it randomly around the whole thing. And can you see, like this Y, for example, I've gone all the way around. There's going to be no gaps when I've used all the paint colours. And you can paint on top of the tape as well, just to make sure that it's definitely gone on. And, you know, I am sort of, you know, yapping away as I do this. But you could see how quickly you can sort of rip that tape up. And you can kind of hopefully imagine how quickly you can get this done. So if this is something, you know, if you need like a time sensitive sort of craft, if for example you want to make a gift for someone and you've only got a day and you're like, oh no, it's their birthday tomorrow, hang on a second, I've got an old white T-shirt in my cupboard and I have some fabric paints, then this is perfect, because you can get this done really quickly if you put your mind to it. Or if you're my children who approach crafts as if they have to, like, there's some kind of speed race. They're like colouring in really, really quickly because they can't imagine taking their time on it. It's like, we must finish as quickly as possible so that mummy can't find another thing for us to do in time. But yeah, I'm just sort of randomly going around the letters. And I'm going to use 4 colours. So I guess what I'm sort of subconsciously thinking at the minute is I sort of need to fill a quarter of the letters with the blue, so that then I've got, you know, I know I'm definitely going to have the same amount of each colour, although you can build it up. The other great thing about these is they do dry quite quickly, so you can always like paint on it and then sort of go back to it and add to it later. I am actually going to speed up now because I want to make sure that I can do the big reveal at the end, because that's really fun. I'm going to go around a couple more of these letters, and I'm going to save the sun. I'm going to do the sun orange. I think that makes sense, doesn't it? And I'm also doing quite a big gap around each letter with the writing. Again, it will just look a lot better with that contrast. So I'm not doing a very thin line. It's quite wide outside of each one. Okay, I think I'm probably going to move on to another colour now. Just sort of, you see the painting's now sort of joining it all together, so it's going to be one big glob of colour. Yeah, great. Okay, I'm going to stop with the blue now. And then I've just got a little pot of water to wash my brush, so I don't have to go downstairs and wash my brush, because that would be really boring for you guys. Just leave you alone while I go and wash my brushes. So I've got my little tea towel and my pot of water. But if you've got more than one brush, then you'll be much speedier than me. Okay, I'm going to go. Let's do the orange next, because then I can do the sunshine really quickly. So again, I'm just going all the way around. So I'll tell you a bit, whilst I'm doing this, I'll tell you a bit about the fabric paint itself, because you do have to heat seal it when you're finished, mainly so that it washes really well. And I promise you, if you do heat seal it, it is really tough stuff. Like it's not coming out in the wash anytime soon. It's really good. This Pebeo stuff especially, I can definitely highly recommend. You might be able to tell that this orange is ever so slightly sort of murky, and I think that's because last time I used it, my 3-year-old probably put her blue brush into the orange paint. I mean, it's still vibrant enough. It's fine. Absolutely fine. But yes, you need to heat seal your garment afterwards. And the way you do that is you wait for it to dry completely. So I would wait a day. What I tend to do is, once I've done this and taken all the tape off, I will stick it on a radiator facing outwards, of course, leave it all day and overnight. And then the next day, you just get your iron out and you put a tea towel on top of your picture, your painting, and then you iron on top of the tea towel, highest heat and no steam. And it will tell you this on the instructions on the paint pots anyway, but I'll just let you know now so you remember. Yeah, so you want a really high heat, the highest heat your ironing board your iron will go, and then you're going to put a tea towel on top, and then you're going to iron it, sort of keep moving around it for about it says sort of 4 minutes, but I'll sometimes do it for longer depending on how confident I'm feeling about my ironing skills. And you need to make sure there's no steam. The whole idea is that it's just heat to stop it from running. If you start using steam, then the steam can sort of make the paint go back to sort of liquid, and then you're sort of in trouble. So you need to make sure there's no steam on it. And that's the only thing that I iron, is if I do screen printing, screen printed clothes or anything like this, or lino printed clothes, you have to heat seal everything. And that is the only thing that I get the ironing board out for. I never get it out for anything else. Okay, so I'm just going to do a few bits of orange here. And it will sort of blend in with each other, but I quite like that look. I think that looks quite good. Which other bits? I'll do one of these ones up here, orange, I think. It's got a really bad crease on it up here because I don't iron anything. That's why. And I do think you're safer sort of painting it on top of the tape, because then you know you've got all of those nooks and crannies. It's missing a bit this side, I think. Orange. Right, okay. I'm going back into my water pot. Just give it a really good wash. Okay. And we're going to go in. What colour should we do next? I think we'll do the green next. I'm not overly convinced we need the red. We'll see. So I'm going to go in with this lovely pea green. Oh yeah, that's nice. And I've seen videos online of people doing this. I want to say on canvas, but possibly like big pieces of fabric that are going to be sort of maybe stretched and sort of displayed like artwork. And they've used kind of I don't know what they're called, maybe like acrylic mediums that sort of thin the paint, that make them really sort of like watery. And that looks quite nice because you can kind of get that sort of drippy effect of like washing it over. So if you're big into your painting and you know a lot about sort of different painting methods and sort of ways that you mix paint with different things, then you can do that to this craft. Like I've seen it be done. You can use different paint mediums. I'd just be wary of like if it's fabric to wear, how well that will wash. So I'm gonna go around all these letters with the green, and then I think I'm gonna do like a tiny bit of red, maybe on the edge of the sun, just so we've got a bit of red in there. So I think the letter coverage is fine. The hardest bit is going to be peeling off the letters because I'm not going to wait for this to dry. So this will be quite messy for me, but what I would say to you is wait for your paint to dry and then peel the letters off. But I want to be able to show you the finished product. So I'm going to get very messy fingers, but don't let that put you off because you don't have to do it like that. Okay, so I think we've probably got all our coverage there. And then I'm just going to dip in with the red very, very quickly. Oh, we're fine. We've got plenty of time to peel off our letters. She says, famous last words. I've never peeled the letters off with the paint wet before because I've always been very good and waited for it to dry. But already, so like this orange here, it's obviously still wet, but like it's not shiny wet. You know, it's like it's sort of sticky wet. So it is quite quick drying, I think. Okay, so last one, we're going to go in with the red. And I think I just want some sort of, almost some sort of highlights, I guess. Maybe over here. Nice. Maybe. No, I just want some little blobs of red, I think. Just seems to bring it to life a little bit with the red. I think it was like with those three colours, it was just missing something. Okay. Very nice. I mean, it looks pretty messy at the minute. I'm sure you'll agree, but it all will be revealed very soon. just checking that there's lots of coverage around all the letters, like it's not too thin. You want nice big painted areas that are really like sort of covering the whole thing. I mean, you could paint the whole thing if you wanted, but I quite like them sort of surrounding the words and then leaving that gap of the fabric behind it. Okay, I am done painting. And I am going to wash my brush because I'm good. Because if I leave it, it will dry and then I'll be really angry with myself when I try and wash it later. I've done that so many times with PVA glue as well because it goes see-through. And then I've gone back to a paintbrush and it's like rock hard. It's all dry. And I'm like, oh no, forgot to wash the brush. Okay, so, excuse me. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this tea towel because this will probably need washing now because it's a little bit grubby. So I'm going to use that to put my tape on. I think I should put my water somewhere safe so I don't spill water everywhere. So we can move everything out of the way. And do I need to zoom out? We can see all of it, can't we? Yeah. So I'm going to work from top to bottom. And if you don't have nails, you kind of need nails to peel these off, but you could always use a set of tweezers if you've not got nails at all. And also if you don't want to get messy if you're doing it wet. But essentially, you've got to get your nails in there. And then hopefully you can do one word at a time. Ta-da! And that's basically it. You just peel your letters off. Actually, this is easier than I thought. Where I really thought I was going to get quite messy, but actually, because you can try and neatly take off the lettering all one. Oh, look at that! Perfect. Oh, that's really fun. This is my favourite bit. I love this bit. Oh, that one didn't want to go all in one go. So the bits that you've used quite multiple bits of tape sometimes split. So like that bit there. So then we'll just go in and peel this bit off. Lovely. Looking good, right? How fun is that? Okay. And the only reason I'd say do this when it's dry is because I don't want to smudge the paint when I'm trying to pick at the tape, but it's quite cumbersome. So I think you're fine. Like I'm not smudging any paint on this, especially when it's quite thick strokes like this. I guess if you've been quite neat with it, then you might want to think about waiting for it to dry. But here's the proof that you don't have to if you don't want to. If you're impatient like me. Okay, now we're going to go in with the sunshine. And I really like this because it looks so messy when you've put all the paint on. And then as soon as you start taking the letters off, you realise all is well. And this is why it's important to make sure you do the paint all the way around because you've got these lovely big gaps making the words really obvious, really easy to read. Ooh. Okay, so we've got to go in with this H here. And oh, we're cooking it with gas here. Okay. Oh, it's looking great, isn't it? Okay, so the last bit is the sunshine. I'll start with the circle. Beautiful. And now we can do all the sun rays. I'll go from right to left. These ones are quite tricky. Oh, it just as just every time I peel it, I love these sort of lines that it leaves. These sort of it's negative space, isn't it? Because we're sort of doing the opposite. I just really think it looks great. Oh, we're so close, so close. Oh, and one more. This will be the hardest one. Ta-da! And we have completed it. I'm so pleased with that. I think it looks great. I'm going to do a nice close-up for you. So I'm going to bring it close to the camera so you can see those lovely sort of bold lines that it's created with the tape. And it's still it's quite abstract. But as you can see, you can cut them out really neatly if you want to do bubble letters. But this is why I love this, because you can see your straight lines, but also your ripped lines are a bit wobbly, which I think looks really nice. And that, I mean, what a lovely little tote bag that we've created there. So once I've let that dry, I'm going to pop that on the radiator facing outwards. And then tomorrow, I'm going to pop a tea towel on it and heat seal it with an iron with no steam for about 4 minutes. You sort of want it, you sort of do it, you sort of work your way over with the iron for a few minutes. And then when you lift off your tea towel, it sort of needs to be like really hot to the touch. That's how you know it's sort of like it's the temperature that seals the paint to make sure that I don't know how, I think it's like some kind of chemical process. But once that's happened, it means that when you put them in the washing machine, they're so good. Like I've done hand painted T-shirts and all sorts, and it's like, you know, with some kind of fabric things that have got paint on them or like images and they sort of fade or they crackle, this stuff just seems to like stay exactly like this. I mean, maybe I've got stuff that I've painted that I don't wash all the time because I don't wear it often, but it is really good stuff. So I can definitely recommend. And as I say, you can get yourself some sort of like cheaper versions that I think work in exactly the same way, as long as it's fabric paint. And if it's not going to be washed, then it doesn't need to be fabric paint. So like a tote bag, for example, you could just do it with normal acrylics and just try to make sure you're not in the rain too much, although acrylic paint tends to stick quite well anyway, as long as you're not sticking it through a you know, like a washing machine at a really high heat. I think you'd be fine. So hopefully you enjoyed that session. We're all done. We're finished. I finished early as well. I was so speedy with my paint splodging because it was the messiest painting ever. But that's the joy of it, is that you can be super messy. You don't need to be neat or anything, and it's just really super effective. I just think it's easy and effective. It's a no-brainer, and very sort of cheap to do, good for the environment. It's a win-win situation. So I mean, I'm just thinking now already, I'm thinking if you want to get ahead with your Easter gifts, little Easter bags, brilliant. Yeah, so that's it. That's our super easy fabric painting with masking tape. My name's Rosie. My business is Rosie and Ramona. Please get in touch if you have had a go at this and you want to show me your pictures, because I really love to see your versions. It's really exciting. And the great thing is, when people send me pictures of the stuff they've done on these sessions, they're always amazing, but they're always got your own take on them. They're always unique. They're always slightly different to mine because you've done them. So it's really exciting to see. And I hope you'll enjoyed the session, and I hope you'll have a lovely weekend, but maybe stay inside because it's very windy. Very windy. Again, my name's Rosie, and I'll be back in a couple of weeks. I think I've got another session coming up very soon, so I'll see you all then. Have a great rest of your day.